Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another Marvel Snap video. Today, what I have for you is a quick video talking about how to reach infinite this season. I know it's been a hard climb for a lot of people, and this is just my video guide to give you some tips on how to win more cubes, win more games, and try to hit infinite before the season ends. I know this season is really hard for a lot of people. It's been a pretty strong climb, and this is just my tips to win more cubes, win more games. But I do have a quick disclaimer. This video is intended for people who are not Series 3 complete. It's for people who don't have Thanos, for people who don't have Galactus, for people who don't have Shuri. The Pool 4 cards, the Pool 5 cards like myself, I'm Pool 3 incomplete. Barely have any Pool 4 cards. I somehow have Pool 5 cards, but that's just luck. And so it's intended for those kind of people. And so the first thing is basically, and this is really important, you need to play more of these cards. You need to play Shang-Chi, you need to play Killmonger, and you need to play Arrow. And if you're not playing them, you need a really, really good reason not to play them. The current meta, and the meta is going to be very different depending on all of us. Like, all of us are in different skill brackets. All of us are going to experience different things. But you need a very serious reason not to play all of these cards. So, the worst of the three is Killmonger. Killmonger is super good into Thanos decks, which I've played a lot against. The Thanos decks are very soft to Killmonger sometimes. I mean, like, they don't totally lose to Killmonger, but Killmonger's really good against them. The only reason you really shouldn't play Killmonger is if you have a Sunspot, because Sunspot and Killmonger don't mix at all, or if you are also playing some kind of deck that needs a lot of 1-drops. That's pretty much the only reason you shouldn't play Killmonger that I can think of. You can obviously not play Killmonger if you don't want to, but it's a Pool 2 card. Everyone's going to have it. That's why it's so great. This is the best Pool 3 card in my opinion. I think a lot of content creators, a lot of streamers also would agree that this is the best Pool 3 card. People who play a lot of Marvel Snap, Arrow can have negative power and still win a lot of games. Arrow is absolutely insane. This is the best Pool 3 card. Just a quick tip, if you're just starting out at Pool 3, this is the card you should probably prioritize picking up against everything else. It is the most generically good card and will win you a lot of cubes. If you are not playing Arrow, again, you need a very, very serious, a very strong reason why you're not playing Arrow. You will lose more games not playing Arrow than playing Arrow. Arrow is in all of the top decks for a reason, and you can also use Arrow to beat the top decks. If you're not playing Arrow, you need a really serious reason not to play Arrow. And lastly, sometimes, basically, this format feels like an 11-card format with all the Shuri, with all the Thanos, like the ramp decks that kind of just spit out big stuff. Deathwave. Shang-Chi is amazing. I was a real hater of Shang-Chi last season. Viewers of my Twitch, viewers of my YouTube, long time know that I was a real Shang-Chi hater, but Shang-Chi has won me literally hundreds of cubes to hit infinite. Shang-Chi's amazing. You need, like, Shang-Chi is also the most generically good out of all of these, and everyone has it. I don't know why you wouldn't play Shang-Chi. You really need a good reason not to play Shang-Chi. It is soft to Leech. I guess Leech you could give an honorable mention to, but Leech is really only good in the Thanos deck with Lockjaw and stuff like that, because you can ramp into it, or like the Electro deck, where you can ramp into it. Otherwise, I don't think Leech is really worth playing. That's pretty much the only counterplay to Shang-Chi. Other decks will, maybe play Cosmo and Armor and stuff like that, but against the Shuri deck, against the Deathwave deck, against the Thanos deck, Shang-Chi is incredible, and they fear Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi is a beast. So next up, what we're going to talk about is actually priority. And so priority is kind of complicated, but once you understand it, I think it is very, very useful. It can really influence a lot of the decisions you make in a game. It can really abuse priority to have a better understanding of what you're able to do, what your opponents are able to do, and the counterplay that they have. Priority is shown by the little box, like the glowing kind of color here that my opponent's name has underneath them. And when I get priority, my name will glow underneath. So that's the priority indicator that Marvel Snap has it. And priority isn't actually random. Priority is determined by who is currently winning. So since they are currently winning the game, they have priority. Is basically how that works. And so what I'm going to show you is actually some kind of key moments that in the games determine are determined by priority. I use my knowledge of priority and the game showing me who has priority to win matches with it, and how it kind of lets you make a more informed decision on when you want to snap, when you want to retreat, and what kind of counterplay you and your opponent have with each other. And so when you kind of look at the end of this game here, I have priority going into the end of the turn. And so that's really good because I get to blow up their Giganto before they get to do anything. Since I had priority, my Shang-Chi happens before they play anything else. So their Armanzola is worthless. It doesn't destroy it. It doesn't move the Giganto to multiple lanes and it would have won them the game. But also having priority there means they can't Cosmo me there. In this clip, I have priority second, and I want priority second, because I can't get arrowed here, right? If you look at the board space here, not only have they already used their arrow, I'm actually pausing the clip to talk about this, not only have they actually used their arrow already, but they're full on the other slots, so I know they're playing right side. So my only loss here is basically, in my mind, is Cosmo or Armor or something at this point. That's the only way I can lose this game. Because they have priority first, they played White Queen, so they copied my death. I know one of the last cards in their hand. They have a death, they have another, and then they have 2 other cards to play there, basically. Since I am guaranteed to go second, because I see they have priority, my Shang-Chi is going to blow up their big card. So if they play anything over 9 here, my Shang-Chi is going to blow up their stuff, and if they have a Shang-Chi, it can't blow up my cards. None of my cards are vulnerable to Shang-Chi. So basically the only way I can lose this game is to Armor or Cosmo, because they're going to flip first. But I feel really strong going into this last turn, because I know that my Shang-Chi is better than theirs. My big cards are safe. Their big cards aren't, right? So they play Devil Dinosaur, they play Death, and then they play Sentinel. 2 really big cards, right? They couldn't Shang-Chi me. Even if they knew I was going to play Death, even though they knew I had this Deadpool. Both of these are known cards to my opponent. It's information that is available to them. They were following the game. They knew I had these cards. But my Shang-Chi is just like the ace in the hole. If they don't have counterplay to it, since I know I'm going second, I know I can't lose, except to the cards I kind of mentioned. I'm in a much better position than them. So knowing how priority works here was really important. What I'm going to show you next is actually a game I lose to priority, and kind of the downside that priority can have sometimes. So in this game, I don't have priority, right? My opponent has priority. And the reason they have priority is because they're winning 2 of the locations. So like if I was winning right, I would actually be a little bit stronger here, right? If I was winning the right lane, I would be winning 2 out of the 3 of the locations, so I would have priority. But since they're winning 2 out of 3 of the locations, they're currently winning the game, right? So they have priority going into the last turn. So I play to my outs. I play to them not having Cosmo or Armor or anything, but they have Cosmo. So my Shang-Chi flips up underneath the Cosmo, and then the Cosmo completely shuts off my Shang-Chi. I don't kill their Devil Dinosaur, but I knew that was going to happen, right? I was forcing them to have the card, but it wasn't a surprise. I knew how priority was playing out. I knew that their card would reveal first, and I knew that Shang-Chi would lose to Armor and Cosmo. But, you get a much more informed decision when you understand priority, because you get to choose if you want to stay in. You get to choose if you're leveraging the chance of them having something. So the last kind of key thing I want to talk about here is snapping well and retreating well. I talked about this in my first video, but it's just really, I can't emphasize it enough. The most important thing in Marble Snap is cube equity. A win rate doesn't matter, retreating doesn't matter, playing out games doesn't matter. How many cubes you win and lose in each match matters the most. And I'm going to say that a lot because it is the most important thing, even though it might sound like I'm kind of beating a dead horse here. But you really shouldn't be playing out games to their finish unless you're sure you're winning. Most of your games that you're going to lose, you should be retreating on. You should not be playing out a final game that you have a low probability of winning in, because it's about stats. It's about if I play this final sequence 100 times, what does the final turn look like? Just because you snapped, and this is a key thing I want to emphasize, don't get sunken cost fallacy on your cube. You need to, at every point in the game, be asking yourselves, what is the probability I'm winning this game? So when you're on the last turn of the game, you need to be asking yourselves, what's the probability I'm winning this game, right? And then from that decision, you need to decide if you leave or stay. You do not worry about how many cubes you're gambling. You do not worry about that kind of stuff. Honestly, I think you can get to infinite without ever winning any 8 cubes. I lose most of my 8 cubes, if I'm being honest. I very rarely win an 8 cube. And, maybe there's a reason for that. It could just be that, my opponents have a better understanding of when they should stand on 8 cube than I do. But I'm so serious when I say that you should be leaving games that you're going to lose. You should not be saying, I lose an 8 cube here. I didn't even know that. I was just doing B-roll. But, you should be leaving games when you think you have a low probability of winning them. You shouldn't be playing them to resolution. You need to ask yourself, when you're playing the final turn, do I have a chance of winning here? What are my odds of winning here? And when somebody snaps on you, that's the other time you should be thinking about that. When somebody snaps on you, you have to ask yourself, okay, what are my probability of winning here? Is it worth playing another cube? And you have to get really good at wagering that. That's honestly a huge skill. If you are able to accurately do that, you can pretty much get to infinite with any playable deck. If you are able to appropriately assess what your win conditions are, how you win the current match, what your opponent's win conditions are, how likely they are to have their win conditions, and kind of blend that into, is it worth it to stay, and roughly what my win percentage is, you'll win a lot more cubes. You are going to obviously lose some games. You're going to get bad variance every now and then. But if you kind of go through this mental checklist of what's my win percent right now, is it mathematically worth it to stay in this game for the cubes? You'll end up winning a lot more cubes. And just like put simply, you should be retreating on the final turn of the game unless you are statistically likely to win. You should not play out the game. Also, and this is just a bonus thing, don't snap on the last turn. Snapping on the last turn is generally terrible. Most of the ways I'm able to get 4 cubes are from my opponent snapping and not retreating, right? They snap, they get the sunken cost fallacy of like, oh, I already snapped, I already doubled the cube ante, I have to play out the game, I should win when I snap. People have a really bad idea of, I already snapped, I should be winning this game. Assess the game at each turn, right? And you need to get better at deciding, is this game a winnable position for me? Is this game something I can stay in on? You don't want to get sunken cost fallacy of, I already snapped, I have to stay in the game. You don't. Like, you really don't. You don't have to stay in the game. You can leave at any point, and it is better to leave. You should not, most of your games should end in a retreat on one side. If your opponent doesn't retreat, exploit that, right? But don't get stuck playing out games that you're going to lose. The games that you should not be losing 4 cubes often. You should really only be losing 4 cubes to bad stats. You should not be losing 4 cubes to playing out games. And with that, that's kind of all I have for tips. Again, like, this video is more for people who aren't Series 3 complete, aren't Season 4 complete. These are general kind of themes and concepts. So if you're already Infinite, if you're already, Series 3 complete, you have a couple Series 5 cards, this video might not be for you. I do post gameplay videos every day, so I hope if this liked you, if this helped you at all, you'll consider, liking, commenting, subscribing. I really appreciate it. The last video of this I did really well, and I really appreciate all the support I got from that. I just hope that, I was able to help some people climb, maybe get that last push to Infinite. I do post daily deck highlights every day, so hopefully I see you guys around, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day.